Hi everybody and welcome back. My name's Laura Scott and I'm the Managing Director and Partner here at ADAPTOVATE. And today on the Backlog, I'm joined by a dear friend of mine, Ohad Sternberg, who has flown all the way from New York City to be with me here today. Welcome, Ohad.
Thanks for having me, Laura.
It's a delight to have you here in unfortunately rainy Sydney, so I'm sorry about that.
But your audience will never know.
Absolutely. So today we're going to learn more about loyalty. Ohad runs a company called UpNonStop, which supports companies on their strategy around loyalty, particularly with airline travel, but also too, he has great knowledge on airlines. Ohad has an extensive experience in product management and software, which is where we met. And he is
Many years ago.
Many years ago. We aren't that old though. We are...
Don't tell people.
Okay. Okay. And today we're going to be delving into all of those areas, really. And I am really excited for you to share your loyalty journey and how you came to build UpNonStop. So Ohad, interesting journey.
Yeah.
How did you get to UpNonStop? Take us through from where we are today.
We can go on the personal side.
Yes,
so I'm the son of an airline employee. My father used to work as a flight attendant, purser, for almost 40 years. And so as a kid, I think my earliest memory is being on a 747. Which is a little bit crazy. And so I was born and raised in Israel. The heavy Israeli accent would never leave me. But for the past 20 plus years, I've been working in the space of technology, international development. I used to work for the Prime Minister of Vanuatu for some time, and some interesting aspects of international development and later on software in the US. But my passion has always been in the space of loyalty, award travel, and more importantly, seeing the world for the best bang for the buck. And so my passion lied in that. And for the last 2 years, really at UpNonStop, the work that I've been doing was to help small, medium-sized businesses in America really maximize their own spend so they too can leverage every dollar to take them further.
And so that's the exciting thing about today as well. You're going to give us some really exciting global insights from some of the retailers, from some of the F&B in America that we don't often talk about on this backlog. So looking forward to that.
I think it's really interesting, we said how we're going to jumpstart this conversation. I think it's really interesting when you think about loyalty in 2026 to be such kind of a interesting concept. Is there such a thing as loyalty? I think you and I, we speak a lot about airline loyalty, hotel loyalty. Is loyalty real in 2026? And how do we actually capitalize on it? And
you just asked the question that I was meant to ask.
Was
there you go.
Here we go. But, I think, because I think we spoke about it earlier. And so the question is, of course, whether there is reciprocity in loyalty between hotels, airlines, and of course, consumers, if you think about B2C and B2B. And I'm not sure in 2026 that this concept is really strong. I'm not sure that there is loyalty, especially coming back from hotels and airlines. And the data shows, especially now in 2026, as we kick off in Q1, that loyalty programs are no longer rewards. They're shadow banks of points, miles, and however you're able to actually bring them forward to really currency to maximize for the end user. So there's a lot of course, hidden agendas between all these airlines and companies. But the question is, do people actually know what to do with these points and miles? Or are they, as I call it, funny money sometimes?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's a lot in what you just said.
Sure.
So let's unpack that.
Yeah.
I'm going to go right back to the start. Is loyalty dead?
It depends, right? The short answer is that it is. Right.
And why? So is it dead from the business or from the consumer?
Yeah, if you think about the consumer doesn't really know the value of the points and miles they get on average. Yep. And so the question is, what value do they get on the day-to-day when they, in Australia, get a new Qantas card? But then again, you have to remember Qantas, for example, here in Australia are so embedded over the years and decades. I feel like every Aussie would have anything to do with Qantas loyalty programs, but also with Velocity for Virgin. And so the typical consumer, would you ask them, how many points do you have and how far would they take them? They wouldn't know, typical consumer, how many points and what would they be able to do. Sometimes they'd say, I'd be able to get a short flight here or there, but
I certainly wouldn't be able to.
Really?
No.
Who do you fly with?
Everybody, the cheapest person.
So you don't do loyalty?
No, I don't do loyalty for airlines.
Really?
I do loyalty for makeup Yeah.
Tell
So
me more.
Mecca in Australia, the makeup brand like Sephora,
Sure.
has an incredible, and this is not sponsored, has an incredible loyalty program.
How do you come back to them? Is it because of the program that
Yep,
set
their
up?
program. So the more you spend, the better loyalty benefit by gift that you get back and samples.
Right. So,
So
you feel rewarded.
Absolutely. I feel rewarded. You walk in there, the in-store experience is phenomenal. There is a specialist in the area that you want to go buy, mascara in, and there's makeup specialists.
Sure.
So I go back to Mecca to buy my makeup, and I spend all of my makeup there, my makeup money.
Is the reward coming back to you in the experience, or is it coming back in the kickback?
Probably more in the kickback, but I go there for the experience.
Got it.
Yeah.
So if you think about airlines and hotels, the same thing. When you come back and again, it's not sponsored, as a Hilton loyalist, and you come back to the hotel and somebody greets you, welcome back, Laura Scott. We know you're a gold member or a diamond member. The loyalty is mostly emotional.
Yeah. Okay.
You don't really know because it's so dynamic, and award charts, which were used to be very fixed, 20K would give you X, 40K would give you Y. Now, since it's all dynamic, you don't really know typically how many points would get you far. So in the end of the day, these companies really work on the emotional component, where welcoming you back into the store, into the hotel. And the same goes with airlines. When you come back into Qantas and you fly the Kangaroo, you feel at home because you have a Qantas loyalty reward card, or because you've been with them for so long. And the same goes if you go one level higher in the One World Alliance for Qantas, where you feel rewarded when you fly Alaska Airlines in the US or American Airlines in the US, because they're in the same One World Alliance where you fly typically with Qantas. And vice versa, if you fly Virgin, Singapore Airlines, United, Star Alliance, etc., if you think about an Australian consumer. But that feeling, sensation of loyalty is typically an emotional one, not necessarily one that you can actually put a finger on, unless you use very sophisticated tools to know what is the best way for ROI value for every dollar you spend.
Which I'm going to come back to.
Sure.
So I want you to talk about for the marketers and the consultants that are listening to this.
Yeah.
So marketers across the board. So think F&B, think banking, all of those different types of industries.
Yeah.
What is the core misunderstanding for businesses with loyalty at the moment?
That's a great question. I think in the end of the day, if you think about B2B or B2C, you really need to identify your persona. And who are you actually selling the product to? If you're able to connect that emotional experience in the entire journey from selling all the way to conversion and return customers, you're able to nail it. If you just let them know that there is a program for them and they're getting some kind of a kickback, you nail it kind of halfway through the process. But more importantly, if you're able to actually have a buy-in from the end user, where they feel very compensated coming back and they feel like there's something for them in the short or long run, I think for marketers, for consultants, especially those people who are dealing with brands day in, day out, that's where the money is hidden.
And what are some global trends that you're seeing that of companies that are doing it really well?
Yeah, it's interesting. I want to think back about how B2C actually does it, because if you nail B2C, you probably have a good understanding of how to do B2B right. And I think about day-to-day in the sense of F&B, in the space of coffee. I'm a huge coffee drinker. Maybe not the best coffee in the world, but
Tell
often...
me you don't drink Starbucks.
I don't drink Starbucks.
Okay,
I
good.
mean,
We can continue to be friends.
Yes. But I do drink Dunkin' Donuts from time to time. Please save the judgment.
Slight judgment.
Save the judgment for later. But you really have to think about what do these brands actually do very well. And what they do very well is gamification.
Okay.
It's the concept of you come back and you get a badge. The badge doesn't cost them anything. It's a digital badge that makes you feel like, you know what? I got another round in the books, or I got another point here and there. But when you start seeing how companies are able to use gamification to change the patterns of behavior of B2C and consumers, you're able to bring it back to the world of B2B. You're able to actually build the right loyalty programs.
And so what does the badge do?
The badge does nothing.
Oh,
It's
it just makes you feel
It's
special.
just the emotional connection of you and the badge. I have a badge at Dunkin'. I don't, but let's say I have a badge at Dunkin' Donuts, and I was able to go for 20 runs of coffee this month, and maybe I get a higher multiplier of coffee. But when you start looking at how these emotional connection happens between you and the brand, you start thinking, wow, this is really interesting, and you start making uneducated decisions about why would you go back for another cup of coffee.
Because it gives you a cuddle.
Sure, but think about it, Laura, so interesting. The Dunkin' Donuts most likely will have a profit margin of $1 or $2. Yeah. But once you start to build this gamification and you have multiple choices down the street, you'll go back to Dunkin' Donuts for an additional badge, a point, whatever it is. No matter how silly these points are, right? This is truly funny money. No matter that eventually only after 20 cups of coffee, you'll get maybe a shot of espresso, a piccolo. But that level of emotional attachment to a badge, it translates. And that same level of emotional connection also happens in airlines. I can't tell you because maybe I was one of those people, and I feel like maybe you have in the past too. People have a strong sense of loyalty for an airline because they chase the status. And I have so many of my clients who are adamant about getting status with, and I'm making it up, but with United Airlines or Delta specifically, they managed to do it very well to show how people are connected to the brand and they really will do anything and spend all this money to get to silver. Now let's unpack what does silver mean in today's economy in 2026. They'll show up in an upgrade list. But for them to be upgraded to any flight, they would mean that they'll have medallions in every color from diamond and platinum and gold. And I mean, every airline has its own levels, but they're at the bottom of the list. But they still feel like they're silver. And maybe they'll get a kickback with a free check bag and maybe a seat assignment during check-in. But that loyalty to a brand would change everything and all the patterns and behavior. And although, I'll give you an example, Delta would charge you 30% more than flying direct with United. I have customers who we had to unpack this, who choose to have a layover in Atlanta and pay a little bit more just to feel like they're getting into their next badge or status or sometimes. Wowzers. And the end of the year, you and I probably know a few more people who would go another mile or two, who would get on another plane to just get to the highest tier possible. And it just shows you that loyalty is embedded mostly emotionally and not necessarily, when you sit and you unpack the numbers, it just doesn't make any sense. But the emotional connection is there. Yeah. So back to your question, when you're able to do it very well on the B2C side and you're able to build it on the B2B side, companies such as, again, not solicited, Apple, Facebook, Meta, others start funneling money into airlines and hotels that allows you, because of the programs they build, to really leverage and be feeling rewarded in each and every experience. Right. Flight, hotel, cruise, etc. Car rentals.
So, and I definitely want to come to car rentals because I know you've got some stories there. So, but let's continue on gamification. Sure. Gamification with personalization in it. Yeah. So you talked about the coffee from Dunkin' Donuts. You talked about the air miles. Is there anything around personalization that you've seen globally that people are doing really well that is really driving loyalty that you think is a bit different?
I think in the end of the day, the more you know about your client and you let your algorithms run, the better you're able to actually tailor a better experience. If we think back about the previous example where you identify your core persona and what is important for them, you're able to start doing that level of gamification for personalization purposes. Again, B2C is different than B2B, but the more you're able to show loyalty and you're able to show them getting to a threshold and play the game, those components, just very much like algorithms, are able to start shifting trends and decision makers into unrational decisions.
Right.
And that, by the way, is huge money.
Yeah. So I mentioned before Sephora, and I know you and I have had this conversation before. What are they doing really well that people are paying attention to in the States?
I think it's those loyalty programs.
It's the same as Mecca of what I explained.
Exactly.
Okay.
It's
Yeah,
just
great.
it's just those. And specifically, if you think about it, Laura, it just doesn't end. If a good marketer knows their persona that well and they're able to actually identify what are the values that are really important for them, they're able to take it much further.
Great.
They're able to actually convert them. And the best place to see those are social media conversion that ends up being a client and then repeating transactions again and again and again, and specifically to get them into a in-house based gamification program where they're able to spend more money in order to get them to buy more.
Great. So we've got some really good examples.
Sure.
Let's get really practical.
Yeah.
What do you think are the key structural elements to a loyalty program that actually works?
Can you tell me more?
So, Mecca, as an example,
Yeah.
or Woolworths. So Woolworths have a loyalty program where you can pay $7 a month and you get 10% off your shop. Of course, like it's an absolute no-brainer
Yeah.
because I do a shop on a Sunday that's $350 and it's already paid for itself.
Yeah.
This is not sponsored again. So Mecca, again, I get my level 3 reward and I get a little box of tricks that is probably worth at least $50.
Is it true $50 or is it you made believe $50?
It's value to me because if I'm traveling, I take away the small little samples
Yep.
and they're decent. They're not in packets. They're
Yep.
actually decent samples. But what is it about that they have hooked into and understand about me to get me to spend that amount of money on level 3? What are the components you've seen?
It's
that build to
phenomenal because you just admitted that you're part of the industry.
100%. Yeah.
So you pay
Drunk the Kool-Aid.
Yeah, you drink the Kool-Aid.
Yeah.
You pay Woolies a monthly subscription fee. By doing that, you are captured within their ecosystem.
Yep.
You know, and they know that between them and Kohl's, you'll choose Woolly again.
100%, yeah.
And their ecosystem, once upon a time, Dan Murphy's were in there, Cellar Masters, all the brands. But the more they're able to bring you back to their core brands, the more money and revenue they'll do, of course, of your purchases. If you think about it, Laura, it's really interesting to see the fact that you're paying them a monthly subscription for margins that they already are doing on you, and you already know that those 10% margins are just the top.
Yeah.
I mean, there's not a lot, but they're just already saving you. But more importantly, you are already paying them a subscription fee for something that you'd consider loyalty that you'll get back from Woolies. And that's fascinating because I need to ask you, Laura, if you had a cheaper basket at Kohl's, and specifically you, Laura, I'm not talking about a typical B2C consumer in Australia, would you choose Kohl's at any point?
No, because I've grown up on Woolies.
Okay.
Yeah, Mum and my nan shopped at Woolies, so it's family loyalty.
Yeah. So it's integrated also generational. So you guys go way back. And so Woolies is a brand, especially in Australia, because again, the market is what it is, but especially it's a brand that is there. But you can also understand how people feel about Kohl's in the same sense, when they look on the other side.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, yeah.
Yep.
That's exactly what they do.
Yep. Okay, so let's go through. If I'm a marketer and I am a small brand, and I'm not your Meccas, I'm not your Woolies. I don't potentially have the money to be able to spend on a loyalty program.
Yeah.
But I want to be able to have a wide reach. I want to be able to shake up the market. What would you recommend?
It's a good question. It's a broad question. So there's so many ways and flavors to do this. I think in the end of the day, loyalty program feels right when the end customer, B2B, B2C, feels at home. And the moment that you build up on that emotional consideration and the fact that people are able to decide that you share the same values as, in your example, Woolies or whatever it is program that you're in, that value keeps translating into repeating purchases. And those, of course, are tailored with better personalization, better baskets, better whatever it is. But more importantly, better emotional connection between you and the brand. And unless you really, really did something that offsets them, politics, a different agenda, values that don't align, you're able to continue to build on the brand by consistency. Showing up more in their lives, showing up often, of course, not only more, but like in different varieties and flavors. And more importantly, be there for them when they need to. Customer service that goes the extra mile for somebody can literally change the entire trajectory of a brand. Somebody will always remember that Donna that picked up the phone and called back to make sure that you had the best experience ever, and that she'll be the brand ambassador forever.
Yeah, I agree.
And that can really shift loyalty for good.
Yeah. It's quite interesting. As you were talking just then, I was thinking about back to our previous life where we worked at a software firm and we were both in customer success. And our whole role as customer success practitioners was to go and build relationships and loyalty with our customers.
I can't tell you how important it is. I mean, in the space of B2B, let's be honest, it's not sponsored. It's mostly not necessarily how your software would operate. Please don't build terrible software, but it's about the relationship of selling for enterprise.
Yes.
And the more relationship building that you're able to do with your clients, it's everything. It's everything. It's making sure that you know who they are, that they know who you are, the birthdays, celebrations, the things that are happening in life. I mean, for me also, look, our friendship is decades old, but the ability to be for somebody there is more than transactional. It's transformative, and I think really I've seen it because I've worked in many companies. I was able to bring clients from different industries to different areas that I used to work with because they trusted me. And that, by the way, is a whole different other aspect of loyalty, the trustworthiness. If you're a trustworthy individual and you're able to show your clients that you're able to bring them value, they'll trust you, Laura. And that is, in the end of the day, what it's all about. Of course, if the software is not working and if things are not working for you, they won't be there, and neither should you. But otherwise, it's all about the trustworthiness and that creating that level of relationship over decades.
Yeah, and software or any other brand that has customer success people working, people buy from people.
Yeah. And so in the age of AI, I have a lot of conversations when I consult other companies. Do people believe that an AI model will change those? I don't believe. You can put whatever model you are. That personal relationship that you and I have, or me and Donna, or whoever it is hard to replicate. And the emotions that we develop and trustworthiness, underlying emotions, are really there to change the entire conversation.
Yeah.
You won't be able to build it with a bot. You won't be able to actually put it into the market. And you can't really quantify it with money. You can't really put a price tag on it. Because if I was able to bring you as a client to my next company, your book of business, one would say, moves with you. But since these are reputational, not necessarily transactional conversations, these are really, really big.
Yeah, I agree. I really agree. Okay, so one last loyalty question.
Sure.
What is the one idea you wish more organizations understood about loyalty? We've talked about probably 15 of them.
Yeah.
What's the one, if you can think about that?
Build on the emotional part.
Nice.
It's all about emotional. And when you create that level of brand awareness and people see your logo and they feel the same positive, hopefully, emotions about that brand and choose to give you their trust and money and business, that would be, of course, the KPI that you want to work around.
Great.
And it's hard to put money on it and actually quantify it, but you can actually see it, of course, with impressions and of course, click-throughs and of course, the conversions in the cart.
Great.
But it's in e-commerce.
Okay. Where can our listeners continue to follow you, Ohad?
On UpNonStop.com, I actually run a blog where I bring in daily insights around loyalty, especially in the space of award travel, especially in the US, but I also work in Australia as well. But more importantly, to get value, of course, from loyalty, and more importantly, to make sure that every dollar that business owners spend doesn't go to waste, and they're able to get back whatever loyalty that they can from hotels, airlines,
Great.
car rentals.
Brilliant. Your favorite podcast before we go?
Nothing better than yours.
Right answer, my friend.
Yes.
Okay, well, Ohad, it was an absolute pleasure talking to you. Actually, on microphone, we've recorded one of our many conversations.
The feeling is mutual.
Thank you very much for coming and
Thanks
spending
for having
time all the way from New York.
Thanks.
Great to have you. Thanks, everybody, and we'll see you again soon.